Hi there, welcome to week 5. This week we are talking about imagination. And I feel like this is one of the lessons that really combines the power of now and Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth with the Think and Grow Rich concept, because it's kind of like a realization that you have the power within you to create the reality that you want. So we're gonna dive right in. Deep breath. I feel like my nose is a little red. I think I have a fever, but it's okay. I have water here for me. So this week in Think and Grow Rich, we are talking about imagination. And I have a printout for you to kind of highlight the key points of the chapter so you can, go back and go through them on your own time. But there are 2 kinds of imagination that are covered in this chapter. First of all is synthetic imagination, and second of all is creative imagination. And when I first heard these 2, I felt like it really resonated like right away with me. I have always kind of resonated with like I keep using that word, a personality test where I'm maybe more left-brained than right-brained. So more analytical instead of creative. And I feel like in some ways the synthetic imagination is more of the analytical approach, and the creative imagination is more the creative approach. And so I just want to kind of talk about the 2 of those today, and as they relate to your goal or your desire that you are wanting to achieve. So for me, again, as a reminder, I'm going for the New York Times bestselling author. I also want to be a world famous or world renowned architect. And so those are things that I've put out there to accomplish. And so this week is where you start really writing down your plan. And the synthetic imagination is basically you're taking ideas from the, what currently exists in the world. So you might look at another person who's doing what you want to be doing, and you might kind of take some of their knowledge and experience and apply it to your own life and situation. I think of it as reinventing the wheel. That's kind of a term that comes up in architecture a lot because, people are like, well, I'm not reinventing the wheel. I'm just designing this house. And obviously it uses a lot of the same concepts that are out there already in the world. And so that is totally fine. It's just where you look for the idea. So in synthetic imagination, you're looking to other people's ideas, what's been done before. You might take a lot of information in and, tweak it to your own personal desire. But the idea is that the only limitation in your mind is the ones that you put there yourself. I opened the worksheet with Napoleon Hill's quote that says, "Man's own limitation within reason lies in his development and use of his imagination." And I feel like I've used this other quote before, where it talks about, what is that? Oh, if you do not see great riches in your imagination, you will never see them in your bank balance. So I don't know, I feel like I'm going a little off track. It might be because I'm a little bit sick. But essentially, synthetic imagination is really using your own expertise, your own wisdom, people around you, things that have been done before in the world, and creating maybe a plan with it, applying it to your life in a way that will be, beneficial to you in getting what you want. The creative imagination is the connecting to the collective consciousness. It's basically like using, actually Napoleon Hill in the book talks about tapping into other people's subconscious minds, which kind of starts going into like psychic abilities, and like this book is all about that kind of thing. So if I've lost you there, I hope that you can take what you need for where you are in your life. The creative imagination also connects to the mind of God or the mind of infinite intelligence. So think of it as, I'm applying it to writing a plan for attaining what you want, and your synthetic imagination, like what you know already and believe or have seen proven, can only get you so far. At some point, you have to open up to the infinite possibilities that the creative imagination or hunches or like getting like a big break. Like you can't plan for getting a big break in, your life, but creative imagination can definitely tap into those kinds of things. Now, the two different kinds of imagination can for sure get you to thinking up ideas for the goal that you even have. I know for me, one of the things I, have been working through is what my plan is and even what I really want out of life. And I feel like by putting some goals, putting those desires down and having kind of a 6-month like time frame that I think I mentioned that last week, I can help to realize them. And in the book, he keeps reiterating, writing down your desire and your plan, even if you only know what the plan is up to a certain point, because that is the first manifestation of getting what you want. An idea that I thought of while I was typing up the worksheets for today's class was the idea of a choose your own adventure plan. And I don't think I can patent that because it's already been taken. But the idea that you kind of know where you want to get, whether it be $25,000 in the bank or New York Times bestselling author or whatever, and you write a plan down, but you have like a choose your own adventure kind of path where some new opportunity opens up to you and you decide to follow that opportunity, and that leads you somewhere else. And I think that's probably the best way to describe how you have a plan, but you don't know exactly what the steps are, like to a T, and you're flexible enough to be open to life and the opportunities that come your way. One of the things I was thinking about is I am way more aware of like little nudges or like it's called like synchronicities from the universe. If I'm, driving or doing something and I see like it's 2:22, then I feel like that's the universe like confirming I'm in the right place at the right time. Or I know I sometimes talk about Jess Lively. If you haven't listened to her podcast, it's really good. And she talks about like literally if there are a couple different flights that she's choosing from, but one of them has like aligned numbers, like $222, she'll buy that flight because she feels like that's her infinite intelligence guiding her to a choice. So you can take it as far as you want to take it. But I feel like synthetic imagination can only get you so far. At some point, you have to open up to what is potentially the bigger plan, and you don't necessarily know that plan. So the creative imagination and tapping into that is, you know, one way that you may have an idea occur to you that is inspired from your infinite intelligence. I want to highlight a couple of things that I put in the your download. Your creative imagination can be triggered by a couple different things. One of them is feelings of one of them is like the conscious mind vibrating at a higher frequency or rate. And oftentimes that's due to like feeling an emotion connected with your desire. So for me, last fall, I really wanted a new car. And so thinking of that in terms of like how I would feel, like the joy and the happiness that I would have like driving that new car, is a way to kind of trigger the, I say up here because your crown chakra like connects to your infinite intelligence. And so you can definitely like connect by having emotions that are associated with your goal that you're trying to achieve. And another thing that I feel is, well, we're going to talk about this later, is sex transmutation energy. I feel like it's one of the ways that you can actually create and generate energy in your own body. And so that's another way. We're going to talk about that in a later episode. So I hope that you'll stay tuned, if you know what I mean. So the exercises for conscious practice this week, we have, I'm calling them meditation imagination sessions. I'm calling the meditation imagination sessions because what I want you to do is during like a quiet meditation time that you're having this week is feel the feelings, again, generating that creative energy. Feel the feelings of what it would be like if you had that new car. Now, sometimes you might be like, oh, I have no idea what it would feel like. I mean, I know I'd be happy, but I don't know what it would feel like exactly. And so what I do is I think of a moment that I was like so ecstatically happy. And for me, the first thing, God help me, I don't have my kids listed on this because women in childbirth can be traumatic. But one of my happiest moments is going to the mailbox to get the results of my architectural licensing exam. In California, you have to take an oral boards. And of course, it takes them like 3 months to send you the results. But it was like walking home from our mailbox, which is at the end of the cul-de-sac, to our house and opening it. I mean, I was like jumping through the streets with joy and happiness. And so I like bottle that up. And when I'm wanting to have a feeling about being a New York Times bestselling author, I grab that feeling from my archives and I feel it again while thinking about the goal that I want to accomplish. So that's your imagination meditation exercise. And then alignment writing is really important because I feel like that's one way that we can tap into our intuition. And so I have just 2 questions really that you can write to your intuition about. And so I hope that you're doing that and I hope that it's helpful to you. This is fun. I really like this chapter because I feel like, you know, imagination is also, the way I think of it is like you have to be able to like dream big. And I feel like I was raised in a family where my dad was like super big dreamer kind of guy. And I think that is a big part of people's success, is really being able to dream big. And as we covered in past chapters on like belief, believing that you can do it. And so I hope that this has been really great for you. I hope I'm going to be moving this class, I think, over to Teachable and offering it as an online class in the future. So I hope that you've kept up to date, because I'm going to start taking them off of YouTube. And when I launch the new class, I'm going to be putting up there. So thank you so much for being here. Namaste, and have a great day.